everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these crochet pocket hearts. They're low sew, they're super easy to make and work up very fast. They're great for treats or gifts or notes, whatever you'd like to put inside of them. I've already made a video tutorial on these pocket hearts, and I'll go ahead and link that one below. That one's a little bit more in depth into each of the stitches. This tutorial, we're going to go a little bit faster. We're not going to explain the stitches. We're just going to go through the rows and work one up together. Okay, so let's get started. We have a 4 2 shell. I'm going to be showing you how to get started today, we are going to need a worsted weight yarn. This is the yarn I'm using today. It's the Premier Cotton Sprout worsted weight yarn. It's 100% cotton, so it is a bit of a tighter yarn. We are also going to need a 4mm crochet hook, scissors, and a yarn needle. Okay, if you would like to use a stitch marker as well, you can. We are going to be working in turning rounds, so you don't necessarily need to have one, but if it makes you more comfortable, definitely grab one. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to start, we are going to begin by making a magic circle. I am going to go ahead and make a double loop magic circle. If you don't know what a double loop magic circle is, I'll go ahead and link my video tutorial as well for that double loop magic circle in the description below. It just keeps everything a little bit tighter and doesn't come loose like a traditional magic circle. If you don't like the double loop magic circle, you definitely can still use a traditional single loop magic circle for the start of this. Okay, so for our first row, we are going to chain 2, and then we are going to work 5 double crochets into that magic circle. So your first chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. So this row is going to be a total of 6 double crochets, with that chain 2 counting as the first. Okay, after you have your 6 double crochets worked into your magic circle, go ahead and pull your magic circle tight. To start on row 2, again, we're going to be working in turning around, so we are not going to continue around. We are going to chain 2 and turn our work. Okay, this chain 2 again counts as your first double crochet, and in round 2 we are going to be working double crochet increases into each stitch. So this first chain 2 counting as your first double crochet, we'll work another double crochet into that first stitch, and that counts as your increase, your chain 2 and your first double crochet. So we'll just keep doing double crochet increases into each stitch across. At the end of this row, you should have 12 double crochets worked. Okay, your last double crochet increase will go into the chain 2 space of the previous round. Okay, after we have all 12 of our double crochets worked into that round, we'll go ahead and chain 2 again and turn our work. Again, that chain 2 counts as our first double crochet. And for row 3, we are doing a increase, a double crochet increase, and then a double crochet increase, double crochet. And we're repeating that pattern all the way around. So this first one counts as our first, this first chain 2 counts as our first double crochet. We'll go ahead and insert another double crochet into that first stitch. And the next stitch will be a single double crochet. Next stitch will be a double crochet increase. Next stitch, double crochet, and we'll just be repeating that pattern across the entire row. Okay, and our last set, a double crochet increase into the final stitch of our row. And then our final double crochet will be worked into the chain 2 space of the previous row. Okay, we'll chain 2, turn our work again. For row 4, we'll be doing a double crochet increase and then 2 double crochets, double crochet increase, 2 double crochets. Okay, so our first chain 2 counts as our first double crochet. We'll do another double crochet into that first stitch to create that increase, a double crochet into the next stitch, and a double crochet into the next stitch. And repeat that pattern. So next stitch will be a double crochet increase, and then a double crochet into the next stitch, and a double crochet into the next stitch. And we'll just repeat that pattern across. Okay, and for our final set here, we have 2 more stitches in our chain space. So we'll be working a double crochet increase into that stitch, a double crochet into the next stitch, and then our last double crochet into that chain 2 space of the previous row. We'll go ahead and chain 2 and turn our work. And for this row, we are going to be doing a double crochet increase and then 3 double crochets, double crochet increase, 3 double crochets, and just repeating that pattern across. So again, our chain 2 space counts as our first double crochet. So we'll do another double crochet into that first stitch to create that increase, a double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and an increase into the next. And now 3 more double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and a double crochet into the next, and just repeat that pattern across. Okay, once we get to the end of our row, we should have 3 more stitches in our chain 2 space. So our next stitch will be our increase, a double crochet into the next stitch, a double crochet into the next stitch, and then our final double crochet into that chain 2 space of the previous round. And that completes the pattern for that round. Okay, we'll go ahead and chain 2 and turn our work. We're on our last round of double crochet. So in this round, we are just going to be putting a double crochet into each stitch around. So it should be a total of 30. So remember, your chain 2 here counts as your first double crochet. So we'll go ahead and insert our next double crochet in the second chain from the hook, or the second stitch from the hook. Okay, so we'll be inserting our hook in that second stitch and doing our double crochet. Okay, once we've reached the end, remember our last double crochet is worked into the chain 2 space of the previous round. And we should have 30 double crochets across that round, and this is what we should be looking like. Our last and final round, we get a little bit more technical. So after the last double crochet of our last round, we are going to go ahead and just chain 1 and turn our work this time. Okay, and we're going to work an invisible decrease into the next 2 stitches. So to work that invisible decrease, we're inserting our hook through the front loop only of the next 2 stitches, pulling up our loop. If we can get it through here. There we go. And yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. Okay, our next stitch is going to be an 8 treble crochet shell stitch. So we'll skip the next 2 stitches, and into this stitch here, we're going to work 8 treble crochets. So we'll go ahead and yarn over our hook twice, insert our hook into that stitch, and we're going to do 8 of those treble crochets into that same stitch to create that shell stitch. Okay, after you've done your 8 treble crochets, you'll go ahead and skip the next 2 stitches and do an invisible decrease into the next 2. So we're skipping these 2 and doing an invisible decrease into the next 2 stitches. After that invisible decrease, we'll go ahead and skip 2 more stitches, and into this stitch here, we'll be working another shell stitch. So 8 more treble crochets into this stitch here, skipping those 2. Okay, after you've worked those 8 treble crochet shell stitch into that stitch there, we're going to go ahead and skip the next 2. This creates one side of our heart. So we're skipping these 2, and into the next 2 stitches here, we're going to work single crochets. So skip 2, insert your hook into this stitch. Oop, what happened? Oh, I didn't pull through the last one. There we go. Okay, complete that treble crochet stitch. So we've got skipping 1, 2. Into the next stitch, we're working a single crochet, and the next stitch, another single crochet. Okay, and now we're going on to the other side of the heart. So we're going to go ahead and skip the next 2 stitches and do another shell stitch, 8 treble crochet shell stitch into this stitch here. So skip 1, 2, and work a shell stitch. Okay, we have our 8 treble crochets into that stitch there. We're going to go ahead and skip the next 2 stitches and do an invisible decrease in the next 2. So go ahead and skip the next 2, insert your hook through the front loops of the following 2 stitches, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through. Okay, and we're on to our last shell stitch. So we'll skip the next 2 stitches, and into this stitch here, we'll be working our last shell stitch. So we'll go ahead and insert our hook and do 8 treble crochets into that same stitch. Okay, after our last shell stitch is worked, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we come to our last stitch and our chain 2 space from our previous round. So we're doing kind of a modified invisible decrease into these 2 stitches here. We're skipping these two, going through the front loop of our last stitch. Oop, if I can do it. Going through the front loop of our last stitch and then the full chain two space of our previous round, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pulling through. Okay, and so it's kind of a modified invisible decrease. Okay, so we've got our semicircle shell stitched half of a flower here. We have two different sides you can choose from to fold into your heart. So you have this side here, and you also have this side to choose from. When I've made this heart, if you look here on this row, this is one I've noticed my eye is kind of drawn to at first when I fold this way. This is the wrong side of this row. And so when I see that on the front, I don't like it as much. So I've always flipped it to this side. So if you look at this row here, you have the right side facing the front there. And I just think that looks cleaner. You can choose whichever side you like better. Okay, so we'll go ahead and fold in half, make sure our arches meet up at the top. We'll fasten off this yarn, leaving a long tail, and go ahead and stitch down the side of our heart. Okay, so to stitch on the side of the heart, I just go into the stitch right across from front to back into the back stitch there, insert my hook and pull through and just work that down the side. So from front to back, on the other side, pull through, same on the other side, front to back, and I just worked down the entire side until it's completely stitched up. Okay, once we've reached the end here, we're going to go ahead and weave in our tail, so our tail that we stitched down as well as our tail from the start. So we'll go ahead and weave those into the heart and cut them off. Okay, and that is our crochet pocket heart. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot and gives me the ability to keep bringing these patterns and tutorials to you guys here. And if you feel like sharing your creation, please tag me at my.rosemarie on Instagram. I love seeing what you guys create. And we'll see you in the next video. Happy crocheting, guys. Oh, come on, stop. Running down to the riptide, taking away to the dark.